I have replaced a lot of car batteries, and it's always been a very simple task. Simply remove the battery cables, pull out the old battery, put in the new battery, put the cables back on, reset a clock. But now, as we all know, in our late model vehicles, with all of the computers, practically everything has to be reset if you lose power to those computers. The memory for seat positions, the memory for all of the radio presets are gone. The clocks obviously have to be reset, but now we even have to reset all the Bluetooth settings to connect to our phones. This Subaru Forester, it's a 2018. That's the first time I've had to worry about any of that. I ended up buying a cable from Amazon that takes the power from another vehicle. It comes with a cigarette lighter that you can actually run off the cigarette lighter of another vehicle. I chose to actually buy an adapter that lets me clip to a battery. I've never used one of these, so this is the first time I've ever done this with this cable. I'm going to see if it actually does maintain the settings in this Subaru. Let's see how it goes. I end up going to my local farm and fleet. They have a good selection of decent quality batteries. Even there, though, I had to be careful because their AGM battery, it was already over 2 years old, the one they had on the shelf, which is an example of why you do have to be careful and look at the dates of manufacturing those batteries. Because I was ready to put it in my cart when I realized, man, that thing's over 2 years old already and it's brand new. So I ended up opting to just go with their highest grade flooded lead acid battery, and it's only got a 3-year warranty on it. I'm used to seeing the OBD2 somewhere on vehicles like right around here facing out, so that's the first time I've seen one that buried way up in there. Kind of a flimsy little bracket. Once we've hooked up to that OBD2 port, voltage is coming from the stock battery right now, so I don't want that to be touching against the frame or anything else. I want to be careful I don't short that against anything metal. That's a live line right now. I like having the window open because I don't want the interior lights to go on, because once we pull the stock battery out, that auxiliary battery is providing the power needed to keep the keep alive circuits alive. But if you turn on any of the exterior lights, that's going to draw 12 volts to turn on the lamps of the inside of the car. If you're pulling that current through the ODB port, I don't want to take the chance of blowing a fuse, because it is normally meant to just have the diagnostic tool connected to it. It's really not meant to be drawing a lot of current through that ODB port. I don't have any headlights on. It's just keeping the draw to a minimum. We also want to be very, very cautious and careful that we're hooking up the leads to the proper polarity on the battery. Put the positive to the positive. We're going to put the negative to the negative. And double check ourselves. So we got negative, we got positive. Now we can connect up that adapter. We'll have to be especially careful when we take off these terminals, because they're going to have the power from the auxiliary battery applied to them, because the chassis is generally grounded, connected to the negative, and therefore if you were to touch any part of the positive to the chassis, you're making a short, and that could be catastrophic. So we'll be especially careful with that positive terminal that it does not touch any metal components, even stuff like this. We don't want it to touch anything metal, because that auxiliary battery will be applied power to those same cables. So I'm going to be very careful about that. I'm going to take the negative off first. This is the one you always want to be the most careful with, because this is the positive. You definitely don't want to be touching the chassis while you're touching the post of the positive terminal of the battery. And this is where we're going to be very careful. So even though that's disconnected, I don't want to touch anything metal. I just want to be very cautious that it doesn't slip into something to go down, like touch metal down there. So that looks like that's okay. It's all rubber, so I might just leave it there. And then this cap is just a wire holder. But, you know, a lot of these little plastic connectors can have sometimes they have little tricks to them. They're all different. Sometimes you have to press and pull at the same time. And, you know, they do it easy for manufacturing, but not so much to get things off. So sometimes these can be a little challenging. It probably is just pushed on. There we go. Now I'm going to take that, keep it out of the way. We've got a deep socket 10 millimeter, and that's what we're using to take that off, that battery hold down. Once you've got them loosened up somehow, they're usually just like a little J hook on the bottom. As you see, these are just little J hooks that go down in there, so I'm just going to pull it off like that, put it aside. Just want to make sure I got a firm grip on it. Once the battery's out, just to give it a little wipe down. My Jeeps have big steel trays in which the battery sits. It's kind of funny to see the flimsy plastic, almost like a packaging material. That's how they keep the weight down and keep the cost down. With Subaru, I do appreciate they're keeping their costs in check a little bit, and that's good. I just like to take this opportunity just to wipe things down, get some of that sand and grit and leaves out of there. It's just an insulating sleeve. It comes off. Also taking note of how the battery was positioned. I want to keep the new one the same. I like to see that they're about the same size. They should be identical, since when I went to the Blaine's Farm and Fleet and used their little lookup catalog, he said this is the right one. Looks like the right width. Looks like the right height and length. So I think we should be good just dropping it in. Make sure you got your positive, you got your positive, you got your negative, got your negative. So that looks good. I think that probably just insulates the battery from the heat of the engine, most likely. Keeps it from moving around too much once you get it clamped in. Again, I want to be careful I don't touch the terminals together. I try to get these J hooks for the hold down bracket properly inserted. So I put it in a hole that's in the side. That way it's more vertical. And I believe that's where it was. I wish I'd looked at it a little closer before I took it off, but that seems better to me, that it's up more vertical like this. And same with this. I don't know if you can see back in there, but there's a little hole. Again, it has the J hook facing away from the battery. This one has the J hook kind of facing towards the engine and going through a hole in that bottom bracket. Having this bracket so it's notched over the battery like this, I think, is also important. Gets that battery locked in there a lot better. But it's a small detail, but I think it's important so that this thing's not racking around. That way it's good and secure. I don't want these like super reefed down, but I also don't want them loose. So I'm going to just make sure they're snug. You don't want to damage the battery or crack it. I think that's more than secure. Now I use a little dielectric grease, just a little bit. It protects the post and the connection from any kind of oxidation over time. Putting it around the battery post just helps. I'll put the positive on here. Always, again, being conscientious of where my wrench is going so I don't make any contact with the chassis while I'm touching the positive terminal. And again, that's because I've got that auxiliary battery connected. I just want to be careful here. Now, let's put our negative on. Now this is just going to slip over the top of that. Make sure that slips over. There we go. Give everything a wiggle here. And a wiggle here. I think we're good. I scan the engine bay and make sure everything is clear. Terminals are secure. Insulation point there so you don't have any chafing. The hold down looks like it's secure. And again, just moving things around. Feels nice and secure and tight. No tools. All right, moment of truth. We're going to disconnect here, and then that new battery should be taken over. We will not need this. We'll see if the seat memory is still right, and the presets on the radio, and my wife's Bluetooth is still connected to her phone, so that'll tell us the Keep Alive stayed there, and hopefully have a brand new battery started here. Again, I want to be cautious of this end since it's connected to the OBD2, getting power from that new battery, so I'm going to be careful it doesn't touch the chassis. So I'm going to just carefully put that here in the seat, make sure it touches no metal anywhere in here. We will pull out that OBD2 port. Let's fire up the car, give it a try. Voice is number one. Oh, it's moving my seat. It's moving my seat. I'm going to go back to my memory. Let's see. Yeah, it's taking me to my memory seat, and clock Looks like it's still okay. I think that Keep Alive cable did the trick. Glad we got that done. I'm going to take note of the mileage and the date and record that in my maintenance log. I hope this was helpful. If it is, give me a thumbs up, and I really would love to have you subscribe. Having you along for the ride just makes this so much more enjoyable. I love the comments you leave down below. I try to answer every single one. I love hearing what you're working on and what kind of techniques you use. We'll see you in my next video. Take care. We'll put this little cover back on. Protection, so I'll just snap that on. That's how we change the battery on my wife's 2018 Subaru Forester.